When Marine Sergeant Ryan Cole returned home from deployment, he expected peace, not a roommate who never stopped talking. The day he rescued a stray German Shepherd from the rain, he had no idea this dog would become his loudest and funniest battle buddy. From the moment Ryan brought him home, the Shepherd barked back at every command, growled at every question, and even argued about dinner time. Neighbors laughed, calling them the debating duo. But behind the laughter, something deeper was happening. The Marine who had forgotten how to smile was finally healing, one bark at a time. What Ryan didn't know was that his new friend wasn't just talkative. He was carrying a secret that would change everything. The rain poured over the small highway like a curtain, blurring everything into silver streaks. Sergeant Ryan Cole, U.S. Marine, drove in silence, one hand on the wheel, the other resting on the dog tags hanging from his mirror. The hum of his truck engine was the only sound. After 3 deployments and 12 years of service, he was finally home. But for Ryan, home felt quieter than the desert ever had. The noise of life was gone, replaced by an ache only soldiers understood. As he passed the outskirts of an old training base, something caught his eye, a shape struggling near the roadside ditch. He slowed down, squinting through the rain. A German Shepherd, soaked and limping, was tangled in a wire fence. Without a second thought, Ryan jumped out into the storm. "Easy, buddy. I got you," he murmured, kneeling in the mud. The dog's eyes, golden and terrified, locked onto his. Ryan used his knife to cut the wire, freeing the animal. The Shepherd stumbled forward, pressing against him like it already trusted him. Ryan smiled faintly. "You're a tough one, huh? Guess that makes 2 of us." He lifted the dog into his truck, wrapping it in his old military jacket. As he drove home, lightning flashed across the sky, illuminating the 2 of them, a broken Marine and a lost Shepherd, unknowingly about to rescue each other. By the next morning, Ryan realized he hadn't just rescued a dog, he'd adopted a comedian. The German Shepherd, now dry and fed, refused to be quiet. Every time Ryan spoke, the dog would answer with a bark, a growl, or a dramatic sigh, perfectly timed as if he were arguing. When Ryan muttered, "You hungry, pal?" the Shepherd barked twice, loud and clear, like obviously. Ryan blinked, then laughed. "You got an attitude, soldier." The dog barked again, tilting his head. It became a routine. Every word Ryan said turned into a conversation. One man, one dog, and a house echoing with laughter. The neighbors soon caught on. "Hey, Sergeant, you training him or debating him?" one shouted over the fence. Ryan grinned. "Both." But late that night, something changed. As Ryan sat on the couch scrolling through old photos from deployment, the dog climbed beside him and let out a low, soft whine, almost like a sigh of understanding. Ryan looked down. "You miss someone too, huh?" The Shepherd lifted his head and barked once, not playful this time, but deep and resonant. It wasn't noise. It was emotion. Ryan felt it in his chest. This dog wasn't just talking. He was trying to be heard. Over the next few weeks, the house no longer felt empty. The once silent mornings now began with a cheerful bark and the sound of paws thudding across the floor. Ryan had named him Echo because everything he said came right back at him. "Echo, breakfast time," Ryan would say. "Woof woof," came the reply. "Don't argue with me." Ryan chuckled, and Echo barked again, louder this time, like he was winning. The 2 became inseparable. Echo followed Ryan everywhere. The gym, the grocery store, even the shooting range. He sat proudly in the passenger seat of Ryan's truck, head out the window, barking at every passing car like he owned the road. At night, Ryan would sit on the porch, looking at the stars while Echo lay at his feet. The dog's constant chatter wasn't just noise anymore. It filled the silence that war had left behind. During a video call with his Marine buddies, Echo suddenly barked at the screen. The soldiers laughed. "Cole, your dog's trying to file a report," one joked. Ryan grinned, scratching Echo's ear. "He's got more to say than most of us." And he did, because every bark, every growl, carried emotion, loyalty, and something Ryan couldn't yet explain: familiarity. It was as if Echo had known him long before that rainy night. It happened one afternoon at the local Veterans Center. Ryan had taken Echo for a checkup and obedience evaluation. The trainer on duty, a grizzled old Marine named Tom Harris, watched silently as Echo obeyed every command without hesitation. "Sit. Stay. Down. Perfect. But when Tom casually said, Unit Bravo, search, the dog instantly tensed, scanning the room like a soldier on duty. Tom's eyes widened. Where did you get this dog? Ryan frowned. Found him near the old base. What? Tom took a deep breath. He's not just any rescue. He's military trained. I know those responses. This boy was part of a K-9 unit. The room fell silent. Ryan's heart pounded. You mean he served? Tom nodded. Yeah. His tag number's faint, but I remember him. This is Echo 7. His handler, Sergeant Daniels, didn't make it back from deployment. Ryan looked at Echo, who now sat still, staring up at him with those familiar, loyal eyes. Suddenly, it all made sense. The discipline, the emotions, the way he talked. He wasn't just responding. He was remembering. Ryan knelt beside him, voice breaking. You've already lost one Marine, haven't you? Echo let out a soft, trembling bark, a sound halfway between grief and recognition. After discovering Echo's past, Ryan saw him differently. The dog's bark wasn't just noise. It was communication, loyalty that refused to die. From that day on, Ryan began retraining Echo, using the same Marine hand signals and voice commands his late handler once used. Each response was sharper, faster, as if Echo had been waiting for someone to understand him again. Every morning, their backyard turned into a mini training ground. Heel, Ryan barked. Echo obeyed instantly. Speak, and Echo answered with a long, dramatic growl that sounded suspiciously like no. Ryan burst out laughing. Don't argue with your commanding officer. Neighbors began recording their hilarious arguments, and soon, videos of Ryan and Echo went viral. Millions watched the Marine and his talkative dog debate about bedtime, food, and TV time. But behind every laugh, there was something deeper, healing. For the first time since returning home, Ryan slept peacefully. The nightmares faded. Echo was more than a dog. He was therapy with pause, a heartbeat that kept Ryan anchored to the present. And every night before bed, Echo would rest his head on Ryan's chest and let out a deep sigh, the kind that said, We made it through another day, brother. Weeks later, Ryan decided to take Echo back to where it all began, the old, deserted training base where he'd first found him. The air was calm, painted orange by the setting sun. Echo trotted beside him, tail swaying gently, no leash needed. Ryan carried a small wooden plaque engraved with a name, Sergeant Mark Daniels, K-9 Unit Bravo. Echo's first Marine, Ryan knelt by the memorial stone, placing the plaque carefully at its base. He'd be proud of you, buddy, he whispered. Echo stood silently, ears forward, eyes fixed on the horizon. Then, without a command, the German shepherd sat upright, lifted his muzzle to the wind, and let out a single, low, soulful bark, deep and steady, like a final salute. Ryan swallowed hard, blinking away tears. Yeah, he murmured softly. Message received. As the last light faded, Echo nudged Ryan's arm, letting out a short, cheerful bark, that familiar talk Ryan had come to love. Ryan chuckled through the emotion. All right. Let's go home, Chatterbox. They walked back together, shadows stretching long behind them. A Marine and his loyal companion, proving that sometimes the loudest love isn't spoken in words, but in the language of the heart.